Jambo, everybody. Jambo, Karibu, Jambo. I am your host, Dr. Ruth Akumbu, and this is Jambo Dr. Akumbu podcast. Today, I will be talking to a friend from my early days of working in the entertainment industry. It's been at least 10 years, and he has done so much and has not given up. That's the key thing. He hasn't given up. He adjusted his life, moved from LA back to Louisiana, and started his company. And it's been just upwards momentum after that. So join me and we will explore his journey together. Jambo, everybody. Jambo, Terence. Jambo.
Jambo, Ruth. How are you?
I am doing very well. I am doing really well. And thank you so much for joining.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
How long has it been?
About 15, 16 years. So do you remember how we met and where we met?
I don't remember how we met, but I remember the last time we saw each other.
Okay. I remember we met on a show, on a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which movie.
Was it the one? It wasn't the one no. It's not the one in downtown LA Center Studios. It wasn't that one, because by the time we worked at downtown Center Studios, we'd already known each other. So okay. I'm not sure if what we met on. I don't even know how we met.
It wasn't on Fast and Furious, huh? Did you work on Fast and Furious?
Oh, up in the mountain.
Man, I don't even remember where. But did you work on that?
It has to be Fast and Furious, all the way up in the, I don't know where.
Yes.
That was in my early days, my very early days.
Was that the only day that you worked on that show?
I didn't work that show one or 2 days, because I think it was one of the shows where they made me wear this really strappy, white, uncomfortable, sexy dress. And I was like, I don't like this. I had this short afro on me, and they're like, okay, we think you're petite enough that this dress should be good on you. And they put me in this dress, and I hated it the whole time.
I'll tell you what, I've kept a journal since 1994.
Seriously?
Yes, I'm over 600 pages. So the day that we met, I guarantee you, I probably have the date in my journal. Probably met a cool sister from Kenya today on set or something like that.
Cameroon, yeah, exactly.
Cameroon.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well,
I thought you were Cameroon.
Yeah. Yes, I like Kenya because I did my research in Kenya. I want to go back and actually just enjoy a visit. My background is Kenya, so you can see that.
Nice.
Oh,
yes,
is longer than me. So here we go. That's me in Kenya.
Is it you? That's you. Nice.
Yes, that's me in Kenya at the equator. So it was really fun. I was like, I'm gonna stand right at the equator.
The middle, balance.
Yes.
The last time I think I remember us seeing each other was me, you, and my dad went to a comedy show at the Comedy Union.
Yes, that was such a fun day. That was a fun day. Wow, yes, that is true.
My dad always asks about you. I think you guys must be friends on Facebook or something.
Are we?
I don't know, but he always he said, man, how's your friend? I said, who? He said, the girl from Africa that we hung out, we went to the comedy show with. And I have other friends from Africa. Yes. So I'll be talking about somebody else. And he was like, is that the girl that we went? I said, no.
Your dad is such a sweetheart. That's really good.
I'm assuming, because he came out when we were working at Center Studios, he came out and visited me for a week.
Yes.
So that might be when we went to that comedy show around that time.
It has to be then. It has to be. It was a good. I don't even remember who was.
I don't even. I think a friend of mine was hosting Rodney Perry.
Mm-hmm.
A good buddy of mine I used to have a sketch comedy troupe with. I don't remember, but I tell you what, I can go to my journal and I will
find it. That is so amazing. You are so smart to have done that. That is so amazing, because I think about my 17 years in the industry, and I'm thinking now, I'm going, if I were to put this in a book, how will I do it? I never wrote down anything. I
tell you where I got it from. Spike Lee, his first couple of films, he released books with them, and
Oh,
they were basically journals. Maybe like his first dozen films, maybe a little less, but every film that he put out when he first started,
yeah.
he released published a companion booklet on the process of the filming
And the
and
journey.
writing and the fundraising and everything. And so it was like it was like that was my film school. That was my first film school, reading those
Right.
Spike Lee. So everything from She's Gotta Have It, Crooklyn, Do the Right Thing, School Days, the one about jazz, I forgot the name of it, Mo
Wow,
Better Blues.
that's
All,
amazing.
all of those movies have a companion book published by Spike, probably with his 40 Acres and a Mule company. They probably partnered with, I think, Simon and Schuster or one of those
Yes.
New York imprints.
That's amazing. I used to journal in my early days, and then I, for some reason, stopped journaling. Which
Busy,
I don't,
man.
but
You get busy, you start doing stuff. But I think once I made it a habit, and I don't do it every single day,
yes,
but there are times, there have been times where a couple of months go by because
yes,
I'm busy or whatever. I was like, it's been a crazy 30 days or whatever.
yes,
But
yes, yes. But you make sure you sit down and do that. See,
even if it's today is January 14th, 15th, 14th,
Mhm.
I'm tired.
Yeah,
Even if it's just that.
yeah. Wow.
Even if it's one sentence.
Right. That's amazing. That is quite amazing. And the day you publish, please let me know so we can come back and talk about it. Let me know. Yes. And you see, we just dived in because we know each other. We didn't let the audience know who you are. So we're just having fun and just leaving everybody hanging. So can you just—
who is this guy? Who is he?
Who are you? Who are you? Save my audience, please. Who are you?
My name is Terence Rosemore. And I'm an actor, filmmaker, visual artist, former retired musician, and retired teacher. I used to teach filmmaking and screenwriting in schools and also to adult students and also acting. And so right now I'm writing, producing, and still acting. And I'm an entrepreneur now. I've just opened a new company called Funky Uncle Records, representing on every.
That's beautiful.
Yep. So yeah, man, just living life, man. Still telling stories. Still curious about humans and human nature. That's where it all comes from. I was talking to a friend, one of my students last night, my former students. We lose sight. We get caught up in the Hollywood and but at the end of the day, just trying to accomplish all of these material goals. But our love of storytelling as children is the first thing that even planted the seed of wanting to be in this business. Never let it not be fun.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great advice. That love of storytelling. And I can testify to that because I have known you this long and I have seen you make shifts in your life from LA to New Orleans, but you have kept the dream. You've kept that desire, you've kept that storytelling, and it's been beautiful to watch. Can you please just share with me and the audience from the time you moved to LA, what prompted the move, and then how your life has evolved since you moved from LA? Was it a good move?
Okay, I started in New Orleans as an actor, and I was 25 years old when I started on a dare for my girlfriend.
Wow.
We had a play, and an actor came on stage. I was, man, I could do that. And she was like, well, then do it and stop talking about it. And so she was right, man. I was a class clown. So I could make people laugh at work, in class, at home, family, and then that's enough to validate your ego without putting your head on a line. You know what I'm saying? Without taking a chance. So I said, she's right. I'm gonna try to figure this out. And through the grace of God, within 2 days, I was in a play. Because my college professor was directing a play. When I got back to school that weekend, he asked me to audition, and then I just started doing plays. I did plays for about 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
There's a saying in acting: theater teaches you, film makes you famous, TV makes you rich.
I like that.
Yeah. So I did theater to learn to see if I even wanted to do this. and I fell in love with it. And to be honest with you, when I first got into it, I really got into it to write and produce. But I didn't see I didn't see too many Black producers or writers. And the ones I did know, they came up through acting. So I said, that's the route I'm going to have to take. So did acting for 10 years, and then decided I wanted to go behind the camera and learn how to do that. So at 36 years old, I became a PA on movies and commercials. And then I got fortunate enough to get hired to work for Cash Money Records, Juvenile, Lil Wayne. I was their casting director. As a matter of fact, I was an office PA for 2 weeks, and then they fired the casting director, and then I took over. So I moved to LA 2 years after that, and I just started working as a PA. So I'm 37, 38 years old, and I'm a PA on movie sets because I couldn't afford to go to NYU, USC, AFI. And I figured people on the scene would be intelligent enough to know, hey, man, what's your story? You're older than the normal entry-level person. Yeah. Same thing with you. You know, it's like people, you look younger than you look like a little girl when I met you.
That's
and
true.
So, you probably were playing a high school student in that movie.
Yes,
yes. That's what
I was old.
You weren't old. You were older than a teenager.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, I stayed in LA for 10 years. I did not act. I wrote and produced my own stuff. Me and my partner, CL Taylor, we created one of the first African-American created web series with refugees in 2006. We created one of the first streaming networks, refugeefilms.tv, in 2007. Even before the iPhones and streaming and everything.
I remember that. I do remember that.
Even before Netflix started streaming, we were streaming original material.
Yes, when you said refugee, I was like, I remember that. That was a long time ago. I remember that name.
You know how people are doing like comedy sketches and stuff now? On TikTok, we were doing that.
You guys were doing that. Refugee, I remember you guys now. I remember. Well, I did not place that with you for some reason. I don't know why. But then
I stepped back behind the camera and was focusing on other folks. And to be honest with you, we've been doing viral comedy since the 90s. We just didn't have the technology to be able to share it. You know, we shoot stuff and put it on VHS, show it to family and friends. So I stayed in LA for 10 years. My father was getting up in age. My son was about to go to college. I worked for Dr. Phil at Paramount Studios. I was doing a little bit of everything. I was traveling, going back to New Orleans. I was working as a personal assistant for different actors and producers and directors. And finally, I just got to a point where I said, I'm ready to do my own thing. I moved back to New Orleans. I started acting after a 10-year absence. One of my first projects of note was an HBO series called Tremaine, where I did 10 episodes over 3 seasons on that. And then I just started booking stuff. And so in 2018, I directed my first feature film called Different Worlds, which is screening on Tubi for free right now, Different Worlds. And we shot half of the film in New Orleans, half of the film in Nigeria.
Yes.
My executive producer, Austin Oboife, he and I came together. He was one of my students, one of my acting students. And the first day he met me, you know, I asked each student to tell me what they, you know, who they are, what their goals are. And he said, hey, man, I produce movies in Nigeria. And so my dream one day is to do a Nigerian and an American project. And I said, you and I are going to do it. Let's put it in the universe. 2.5 years later, we did.
I remember seeing a trailer of that. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I know him.
I was excited to collaborate with a brother from Africa.
Yes.
There's a disconnect between Americans and Africans who come to America.
Very true.
And so, you know, I don't know why. I mean, there's a million reasons why, but I'm a person who always like to reach out. I always like diversity. Like 75% of my crew were female. 85%, it was their first time as a lead, a department head. on movies. So if you was a grip, now you're my key grip. If you were assistant camera, now you're the camera person. Mm-hmm. So myself included, all of us, it was our first time doing a feature film in whatever capacity we worked in. So I love collaborating with a brother from Nigeria because I learned from him and he learned from me. Mm-hmm. And we're more powerful together than saying, I'm going to do my thing and you're going to do your thing.
Amen, brother. Amen. I don't think that we as Black people or we quite understand yet the power of collaboration. Like we still, I don't know why, but it's not just here in America with between African Americans and Americans and Africans. It is even on the continent where you see somebody, they just want to go at it by themselves. And you're like, why do you need to go at it on your own? If you bring in more people, you do it faster, cheaper, better, and all of that. So we all get rich, but we get rich together. It's like you make double the money when you collaborate. You think, oh, I'm doing this all by myself. No, when you collaborate, you make a bigger share. You all get a slightly bigger share because you work together. And
I have a theory of why we're that way.
Oh, please share.
And I'm speaking from an African-American male's perspective. There are points in time when we try to do stuff together. First of all, we don't have a history of working successfully together, a consistent history.
Right.
If you notice, successful people of color, they're usually dealing with people in their circle. Mm-hmm. People they went to school with, their family members, people in their clique. Mm-hmm. When we try to work with each other, we don't know how. We're learning, but for most of our time, we didn't understand how to agree to disagree. Oh. And what happens with males who are alphas is say, you know what, man, I'm gonna do it my way because we can't decide and get it together. I'm gonna do it, and I don't need y'all. And the reality of it is, you really do need other people. Mm-hmm. That happened to me when I first started. I was about 4 years into acting, and then I was transitioning into writing and producing and directing. And I called to my house all the top African-American people in theater and tech and all that. I said, hey, man, we're all powerful in our own little way. Why don't we come together and create a group that has, because they were all each the heads of these different organizations. You still can have your own individual thing, but let's come out and do something together every once in a while. And they all told me no. They told me why it wouldn't work. I was hurt. I was angry. And I think what it was that most of these people had more experience than I did. And so it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You do. You don't know how this, whatever. Mm-hmm. So not only I'm dealing with gender racism too, and these are people who've known each other and they're cordial, but they don't work with each other because everybody's got their egos and everything. Right. So I was hurt.
What did you call it? What did you gender racism? What did you call that?
I call it gender racism because sometimes age groups. Just like we talk about younger kids.
Yes.
All those kids don't blah, blah, blah. We're doing what older people did us.
Right.
First time they heard the blues, they said, oh, that's the devil's music. Now it's a national treasure. The first time they heard rap, oh my God, that's the devil's music. Now it's all over the world.
Yeah.
So whenever you don't understand something, we have a tendency to demonize it.
Right.
So I was angry. I was upset. And for a good little while, for a couple of weeks or months. And then I said, you know what? I don't need them. I'm going to do it myself. And then I realized, okay, I can only do so much by myself.
Right.
So then I found the magic answer. And the answer for me was to bring it as far as I can until I need other people. Mm-hmm. By the time they come on, the foundation of the idea of whatever is already built. It's easy. All I got to do is plug them in. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to take us 3 months to decide what to do. I've already decided what to do and started writing it. Mm-hmm. And once I finished it, the fear of losing out. They don't want to say no because if I say no, he's going to get this other guy and then they're going to blow up without me. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I tried to do was I tried to give people equity and ownership in the ideas. Mm-hmm. From the actors, giving them, say, hey, man, I wrote this, but it's an original piece. So what do you think? What you have might be better. So once actors know that they've got that freedom, which at the time we never had that, especially not in theater. Once the script is locked, it's locked. And then on TV and films, you didn't go on people's set ad-libbing and whatever. I gave them that freedom. And then also with my tech people, I didn't say, I want this. I said, look, man, I'm thinking this. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time. So I had to trick them into being my partners.
Wow.
So they didn't want to do it together, but they ended up working for me and with me.
Right.
And we ended up doing it. And that's how I had to kind of do it, to trick people into collaborating. But then even that got exhaustive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because now everybody's trying to get in, and you need people, and some people don't have the integrity or the vision. You know, it's like it's all about them. To me, it was all about the teamwork, because I knew when I lived in New Orleans before I moved to LA, I was a big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew Hollywood wasn't going to come to New Orleans for me. They were going to take me and bring me to LA.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew if we built something, then they would come.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. That's what Tyler Perry did. He built this company, and now Hollywood is renting his studios.
Yeah.
Whether it's Tyler Perry production, he's making money, whether it's his idea or not.
Right.
And so that's what you got to do, man. You got to build. There's an old saying: if you build it, they will come.
Right. Right. You're the second Black artist that I've heard say that he also he either somebody gave him advice and said, hey, look, Hollywood is going to come to you. If you do something that they cannot ignore, they will start coming to you. You have to do something that is big, and then that fear of missing out, they will come to you, because they know that they can get a piece of the pie. But if you're sitting there thinking that somebody in Hollywood is going to hand it down to you, they're not. You got to go out there, do it, keep doing it. You succeed, they will come to you.
Will Packer said that recently on a
so maybe that's the person that said it. I think I saw a clip on Facebook or Instagram Reel or something.
He went to all the studios with Stomp the Yard, which was one of his biggest movies. Mm-hmm. And they weren't interested. They didn't even understand what that was about. What is a historically Black college? Mm-hmm. They didn't know. Mm-hmm. And then the movie was #1. So then everybody came close. So, that's the reality of it, because it's like I said, the difference is like when we start to want to do this as a kid, or when we're younger, it's because of a passion, a love for storytelling, expressing ourselves. When you become a professional, it's business.
Yeah.
It's not about the passion. They're not going to give you $200 million because we're in love with the story. They're going to give you $200 million because they think they can make $1 billion. Absolutely. I mean, it's like you wouldn't open up a hamburger stand and break even for 10 years. No. You're trying to dominate it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to make peace with this is a business. And so there's different considerations to take once you get into quote unquote Hollywood, which, Hollywood is everywhere now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're in the place. So how did you do? So you transitioned from New Orleans to California, and you did all of this work in California. What was like your top things that you did in California that you remember, like the top?
It was really just meeting people, working at Paramount Studios, meeting friends of mine who are now studio executives, really learning the culture of Hollywood,
right,
and how business is done. When Hollywood is on the West Coast and you live in Milwaukee or you live in Florida, it looks like this magical place. And if you have talent, you get off the plane and they have a red carpet and they have paparazzi and there are people throwing confetti at you. They've been waiting for you all their lives, and you're coming to add to the magic that they create. No. What I learned is that it is a grinder. It will eat you up and chew you out. Not even Hollywood. Before you can get to Hollywood, just try to find a good place to live. And how to make a living will run you out of town before you even get the nose of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend and her daughter, we moved to LA with like between $10,000 and $12,000. That was gone in like 2-3 months. I'm thinking we've got enough money to last us the year if I'm working. If one of us is working to pay rent and to do all the nice fun things, and that money was like, by the time we bought furniture, got an apartment, I was paying $375 rent in New Orleans when I left in 2001. When I moved, because I first moved, I moved to LA a month after 9/11. So Hollywood was shut down.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually move to LA. I moved to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with my cousin for like 3 weeks. And then I got an apartment. And then I stayed in San Diego for about 9 months. My girlfriend and her daughter joined me. We stayed in San Diego for a month. And then we moved to LA in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working. We were both working. But it was just like my rent was $950 in 2002 in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was like, matter of fact, my rent in San Diego was $650.
Wow.
In 2001, and my rent in New Orleans was $375. And that $375 was the most I'd ever paid in my life for rent.
$375. When you first said $375, my brain recorded $3,775. That's what my brain recorded. $375.
And I was complaining about that. I was like, man, this is pretty expensive. You know, moved to San Diego for 9 months, paid $650, almost double. Moved to LA 9 months later, paid almost triple.
Yes.
And you know what everybody told me? And it was my favorite apartment in LA. It was great. I was in Koreatown, right off of Wilshire and Western.
Yes.
Right at that intersection.
Oh, that's a nice intersection right there.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I'm on St. Andrews, across from that Episcopal school. And those buildings. As a matter of fact, Al Capone allegedly owned those buildings when they were built in the 1920s. But we moved there, and a good buddy of mine came to the apartment. He said, "Hey, man, you guys are lucky. Don't ever give this apartment up." And we're like, "Lucky, man. We paying $950. We looking for something cheaper." Like, good luck.
Good luck.
We like, man, we from New Orleans. Trust me, we gonna find something. We never did. You know, that's what it was. It was like in 2002, 21 years ago, I'm paying almost $1,000 a month after paying less than $400 a month.
Right. Mm-hmm.
$600, you know.
The dream.
Yeah, but so yeah, man. So it was the biggest thing I learned was just the culture of the industry, not so much the city. LA. It's funny because you got probably about 14 million people in LA proper, including all the suburbs and all that, and maybe even more counting illegal aliens. And the culture of LA is not Hollywood. The culture of LA is all the different cultures that make up when you go to Chinatown, Little Tokyo, Little Filipino town, Little Ethiopia.
Yes.
Downtown, the neighborhoods, Crenshaw, Silver Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, all of the little areas that have their own thing. And you'll see celebrities or famous people, but you know, nobody taking pictures of them. People are used to seeing them. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy because you won't even know that you're in a Hollywood town because you rarely see the signs. You know, like you see the yellow signs, catering and stuff. When you come to New Orleans and Atlanta, you see those all over.
Really?
Because they don't have as many studios. So everything is shooting on location.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in LA, we'll build a college dorm on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
In Louisiana and LA, they'll just go rent a college dorm. And so you see more evidence of Hollywood in New Orleans than you see in LA.
Yeah, so you see more signs than you see in LA, in New Orleans and Atlanta.
You know, and what I mean by that is that, you actually see in LA and New York because that's the two major media places.
Right.
But the actual physical coming across a film crew, you probably come across one in Louisiana or Georgia before you come in one in Atlanta and LA.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Because usually they're in the studios.
Yeah, that's true.
And they do shoot on location, but it's rarely in town.
Yeah.
They're looking to try to get the place where they got the least amount of congestion and parking and all that kind of stuff. And they've got many options, just like when we shot, like you said, on that series. We went way in those mountains to get away from everybody. Because I'm assuming they were doing like a drag racing scene.
Yes, they were. They were doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was one of those girls that stand there with my skinny clothes doing that thing.
Were there a lot of Asian extras on
Yes,
that?
I think it was featured. It was featuring the. I think it was like a Japanese crew or something. Like there were a lot more Asians there,
I
and there
think
was
that
some
was
black girls. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think they were supposed to be that was supposed to be set in Japan. And
That's
even though
why.
they have black people, they do have black people that live in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't like there was a ton of black people there. The few
Right.
of us, it was the idea. I was so early, it was so early on in my time that nothing was really clicking. The value of things was not clicking, and I didn't know these movies, so it was a big deal to a couple of people. But I was just like, oh, I'm just here to make a paycheck, and because of me, I moved to LA to actually produce. So to me, I was like, I'm just doing background for the paycheck. So
Right.
I was supposed to be with one of the male actors. So it was like I was in his entourage.
Okay.
So that was kind of why I was there.
Like
Like,
Bow, it
one of
was
the
Bow Wow. Bow Wow. Yeah. That's who because Bow Wow was the black guy in the movie.
Bawa. Oh, I don't. Okay.
You didn't even know that. You didn't even know.
I just knew I was in an entourage with a black. They came to me. They're like, okay, you're going to be with that actor. Blah blah blah. I ended up not being in the scene with him. I think they kind of changed their mind on how it was supposed to be shot. But I was blessed to be in the scene with him. Probably like one of those slutty girls sitting on his side while they're talking.
Right.
They ended up not doing it. But it's now knowing the Fast and the Furious movies and all of this. I'm like, oh, actually, that was a big deal.
It was. And it's crazy that night that you shot. I remembered we finished at night. It was kind of because it was hot, then it got cold.
Yeah.
Because we were in the mountains. And I remember we were playing Madden, the video game. I just learned how to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a tournament, Bow Wow and the lead guy of the movie. Yeah. And they made me and they made Bow Wow's assistant. We were both writers. And so while they were playing the game, we'd be working on our scripts.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do a tournament. So they made us learn how to play. So we could even off the tournament. And I remember we stayed into that trailer till 3 a.m. Wow. They were betting. They were putting big money. And me and the other guy who didn't know how to play ended up in the finals versus each other. So Bow Wow and his team was putting money on Curtis, and Lucas Black and his brother-in-law, they were putting money on me. Both of us didn't know how to play. All I'm doing is just pressing buttons and hoping the thing to do something good. And they had put, they had put like $1,000 more because they were talking stuff through because they were the best players.
Right.
Some kind of way we beat them and we got into the little finals. And so they started talking stuff vicariously through us. My man gonna kick. That's all right. My man gonna kick your butt. No, I'm gonna get him, Curtis. T, get him, Tim. T, X. And they're like, T, hit the X, X, X. And I'm nervous and sweating, and Curtis is nervous and sweating because we don't even want to do this, man. And by the time we finished with that deal, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. The poor transport guy, now he's getting paid overtime.
Yeah.
But we got like an hour drive back to LA.
Yeah.
They were so mad, man, because they couldn't say anything because these guys are the stars. Yeah. And the movie wrapped for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, we were gone. We were gone. I remember because our scene was a day scene. I think we were gone. As soon as our scene was done, we were gone. So which Curtis are we talking about?
Curtis is he was Bow Wow's assistant.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so you guys might have been gone, but I think they stayed and they did some nighttime driving stuff after you left.
Yeah.
And that was finished at about 10, 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And we stayed hours, man, because we had this tournament going on. And I remember
I feel bad for the producers.
yeah, exactly. You know, like that was crazy.
Wow. Those were the days, right? Those were the days. It's great to look at it from a review point instead of in the moment, right? So you moved to LA and you do all of this. What therefore prompted the move back?
My son was getting older. My father was getting older.
Yeah, you did mention that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and half the time, like most of the time when I was working as an assistant, there would be times I spent 9 months in Louisiana working on movies. Mm-hmm. I'm not even in LA. Mm-hmm. So once the tax credits started taking a hold in the South, I said, hey, man, I may as well go back and be with my family. At the time, my father was, he's 79 now, so he might have been like 68. Mm-hmm. He was getting up in age. had a few medical incidents, which he's fine now. So I was like, instead of worrying and coming back and forth to check on his rehab, I'm back home. Plus, I'm going to get back into acting because my son was about to go to college, and I knew I could put him on my insurance as an actor. But when I was working as a freelance assistant, I didn't have any kind of insurance plan or anything. So I was like, you know what? My son's playing rugby for LSU. He's studying chemical engineering.
Nice.
Let me go back, and I'm around family. So when I got back, I auditioned for about 8 or 9 months. Nothing. And I told I was like, man, I know why I went back. One of the main reasons why was I wanted to get on the TV show Treme.
Oh, and it was filming in New Orleans.
It was, and I saw the first season in LA, and it was the best show that I'd ever seen about my hometown.
Oh, wow.
And I actually tried to get on as a writer. And a friend of mine was one of the stars, Wendell Pierce, who was on The Wire. And I said, yo, I want to write for you guys. And he's like, yo, man, they only pick people they know. So then I called a friend of mine who was working in casting. Yo, I want to get on shows. Like, you need to be here. They're not going to hire you from LA.
Right.
So the perfect storm of my father, my son, and the TV show. And I remember telling my friends, because I'm looking at all these guys on the show that used to be students of mine.
Right.
So I was like, oh, y'all getting high? I said, Daddy coming home to take food off the table. Oh, that's what we doing? Daddy came home and Daddy couldn't buy a gig for like yeah. Daddy came home and was starving.
Like, LA Daddy, stay in LA. We've got this.
I told my producing partner, Blake, I said, Blake, I'm going to go to New Orleans. I'm going to get a recurring role on Treme. And if they give me something substantial to do, I'm going to be at least nominated for an Emmy. I told him that at dinner one night. I must have been drunk because I didn't even remember until a year and a half, 2 years later. He said, man, you said you were going to get on the show. I said, I did. He said, yeah, you remember that meeting? I said, man, I was just talking stuff. I was drunk, man. So I got a recurring part. I didn't get nominated for an Emmy. The shows got nominated for Emmys, but I personally didn't get nominated for an Emmy. But yeah.
But you got your recurring part after 9 months. I
did, man. I did. I got on there, and then I just started. I started teaching filmmaking and screenwriting. And my thing was, I know I'm going to direct again. So while I'm waiting for whatever to happen, I'm going to sharpen my tools. So I'm going to shoot films with these kids. And they're just like working with a regular crew. The younger kids are the actors. The older kids are the crew who think they're too cool for school. The administration is the producers in the studio, And so, yeah, man, that was cool. We did over 200 films in about 6 years, 6.5 years. Wow. Me and these kids, I went to schools all over the state. And most of the time I would go in for residency, meaning I might go in once a week for 2 hours for 3 weeks. And every time I went to class, we going to shoot. And the next time I come, I'm going to show you what we shot, edited. Right. And what I was really trying to do was, initially, I was trying to get them interested in vocational options. Right. Because where I come from, most of the kids figure if you don't sell drugs, well, then, you ain't got nothing to do. Right. And I'm not working at McDonald's.
Right.
So initially, I was trying to take a vocational approach, but then I realized some kids are not interested in movie making. They just need somebody to be interested in them and give them permission to be great. Right. So then I transitioned to teaching writing, because whether you want to be in the movie industry or not, you will need writing skills for the rest of your life.
True.
And you're talking about a city where the illiteracy rate for an American city is shameful. Because of the public schools, lack of funding, just a breakdown of community, all of the typical things that you see in poor places all over the world, not just in America. So while I'm there, whatever confidence, influence, example that I can give these kids, and what I realized was that a lot of times when you're working with folks or you're trying to give people an opportunity to do good things, there's some instant gratification and validation involved. And I did too. And once I took myself out the equation
Mhm.
and realized it wasn't about me,
Mhm.
and then my reward is 20, 30 years later, complete strangers come up to me and say, Mr. Rosemore, again, I don't know if you remember me, but you taught me and I'll never forget that and this and that and the other.
That's
I've had that happen to me like a dozen times.
wow. That is
It's like
exciting.
it's like you being at the equator in Kenya
Mhm.
and planting a tree, and then somebody sending you a picture 20 years later. Said, you
Mhm.
remember that tree you guys planted? Look at it now.
Mhm.
And you see kids eating oranges or apples off of that tree. And so that's how we should be with each other as human beings, not
True.
just African Americans or Africans.
That's true.
You know, and one of the things I've always loved about you is that you've never stopped. You the same thing you and I, we always doing stuff. Because we
Always.
be sending each other emails. Hey
Yeah.
man, here's my new thing. Here's my
Yeah.
because you directed a lot of stuff, right?
I directed one. I wrote. I think I wrote two. Directed one. Produced with friends. I produced maybe 3 or 4 with friends.
Okay.
Right. So I
Yeah, you've been doing it.
yeah, I stayed busy, and then after a few years, I was like, you know what? Education has never hurt anybody. How about I
Exactly.
go get a bunch of degrees? So instead of taking the little money I was having into making films and not getting that collaboration that you talked about, I just decided, let me go get an education. So at 36, I jumped back in there. And I started from community college, and I just went until I didn't stop. I just kept going.
You got
Every
a
year,
PhD, right?
I do have a PhD now. Yeah,
So you're Dr. Ruth
I am
Akumbu.
Dr. Akumbu, yes.
And what is your area of study? What did you study?
I studied global leadership and change. From undergraduate, I did multiple things at community college. Like everything I was interested in, I did. I have like 4 degrees from community college, and then I moved over. But the key one is the business track. So I did the business track. I did communication, social behavioral science, economics, business. And then I took the business to 4 year, and I did a business of science in a business of science degree in business administration or something like that. Bachelor of Science degree in business administration. See, I don't even remember my own degrees. So then I moved from there, and I went straight into MBA, and I got my executive MBA. And then from there, I was like, why stop now? So just like jumped into PhD. I already have like the strong business acronym and the
Okay.
degree. So I decided, you know what, let me strengthen it with a global leadership. That way I know how to really tighten that leadership part of me and working on a global level. So that's why I got the global leadership degree.
Okay. Okay. Awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, like you said, we've always kept in touch. Like
Mhm.
even if it's not once a year, it's every other year. We always
It's a
knew
hello.
what somebody was doing.
Exactly. Exactly, man. And I'm so proud of you, man, because I actually went back to school in 2016.
Mhm.
Um, I dropped out of school with 12 hours to graduate
Oh my goodness.
in 1996, I think.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to go to France. I was going somewhere, and I was going to be gone for 3 months.
Mhm.
So my teacher said, this is just kind of before I had access to email.
Mhm.
And normally, when I was on the road in the States, they would say, all right, we can work with you for a week or two,
Right. Mhm.
and just fax your stuff in or whatever. But it got to a point where I said, hey, man, I was studying communication and print journalism. And
Oh, nice.
I really wasn't interested in print journalism, but at the college I was going to, it was the only thing that was of interest that they offered. It was cheap.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
and it was a historically Black college. So Southern University in New Orleans. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll take print journalism. And what I was able to do was I was able to learn about how the media works. And so when I had my different projects, I could take advantage and create free media opportunities instead of paying for it. So
Yes.
that was the value of that. So back in 2016, when I wrapped up Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2,
Yes.
I went I went back and they didn't have print journalism. So I joined general studies and I went for 2 semesters. And then I got an opportunity to direct a movie and I withdrew again. So I'm going back because when I went back, instead of having 12 hours, I needed 31 hours.
Oh, because
So
things had changed.
I changed my major. They didn't offer my original major. So I think I knocked out like 12 of those. So, I'm down to like maybe 20 something hours. I'm going to go back. I just paid off all my student loans last year. I owe them nothing. So I'm going
such a good thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish what I started.
Yes, do it. And you can do it online. So that way,
Yes.
a lot of things online now. So
And there's more options post-COVID than they did pre-COVID. So that's the thing that I'm loving, that I can go back and finish. So
yeah, because there's no way I could have done from community college to PhD without the online options. I leveraged from the time there was a thing called online classes. I started leveraging that. In some classes, I would still go back to school at night. I would be on set. I would say, please, can I leave at 4? Please, can I leave at 5? And because I worked on shows that they already knew me really well, they knew I wasn't just asking just to get off. So they would work.
They were reliable and they knew. Right.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful, Grey's Anatomy. I'm so grateful for that show. That show kept me working as a background actor while I finished school and do school. So
how long did you work on Grey's?
I worked on Grey's for at least for almost all the 17 years. Like in the early days, I would work all the shows and then I will come back to Grey's. But at one point after 2008 with the crash, I think I worked Grey's more. And then towards the tail end, when I was in school, I basically just worked Grey's. I would go somewhere for 1 day or 2 days, but I just worked Grey's because I'm like, I need to be where people know me. And I need to be where, if I'm studying, they understand I'm studying. I'm among friends. When I'm studying, they know I'm studying. I could be standing I will have my earpods. At the time, it was like those little things, right? I will hide it behind me and I'll be listening to class in my ear while studying.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Make it happen.
Yes, I'm like, I gotta make this happen.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah. Look, one of my former students, he called me yesterday, and I could tell he's working on a show, but he's not acting. He's working in another department, and so I just had a heart-to-heart with him. I was like, "Look, man, don't quit." Yeah. I've been in the game 30 years, man, and there are times when. Same thing with you. You haven't been in 30, but you've been a long time.
Yeah, 17 is a long time.
And you found a way to make it work.
Yeah. So you move from New Orleans to LA, move to LA, back to New Orleans, get on this show that you really liked and wanted to, and the show ended up winning an Emmy, which is close enough to what you said you were going to win an Emmy. So, and then what made the transition to Georgia, to Atlanta?
When I moved back to New Orleans from LA, I had 24 acting credits in 2010. Mm-hmm. By 2018, I had 86 acting credits.
Wow.
All speaking roles.
Right.
And so the work was here.
Right.
I saw Louisiana making a move to put a cap on the tax credits.
Right.
So my father and my sister and her family lived in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I had already, every once in a while, there was a lot of stuff shooting in Georgia that we didn't audition for.
Right.
So I submitted myself for an agent in Atlanta, got one, and then I started working in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So when they put the cap on Louisiana, I was already in the Atlanta market.
Smart.
And I know how Hollywood works, and I know how Louisiana works.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I decided, my father, other than my son, my immediate family is mostly in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And my son is in Baton Rouge, an hour away. He's a college student. He's traveling with the rugby team. I don't see him that much anyway because of his schedule. Plus he's working. He's in school. He's playing rugby. I'm doing my thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Georgia because I'm getting all this work out there. And I moved. Soon as I moved to Georgia, I got an offer to direct a movie in New Orleans. So I literally drove to Georgia, put my stuff in my sister's garage, and then drove back to New Orleans the next day to start prepping for the movie.
Right.
And, we shot the movie. And then after we wrapped, I moved to Georgia in the fall of 2018.
What was the movie?
And, Different Worlds. That's the one I directed.
Okay, that one, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so since 2018, I've been working back and forth between not only New Orleans and Georgia, but also North Carolina, South Carolina, the Caribbean, Louisville, LA, I've done stuff in LA. If the Lord is willing, I'll be in North Carolina in a couple of weeks, shooting a great project. So
Are those acting stuff or directing?
acting, yeah. Most of these are acting.
Right.
Most of the directing. What I've been doing now is producing podcasts,
Okay.
writing scripts, shopping stuff. It's kind of when I put on my producing hat, I'm still acting. Right before COVID,
Right.
and then COVID came, and then the whole industry got weird.
Right.
So we're waiting for. I'm not even gonna say we're waiting, but once things shake out, hopefully we'll get some of these things going and
Right.
moving. It feels right now kind of like what you talked about in 2008,
Yes.
where everyone talk about the recession and people, when they're talking about buying stuff, they want to buy stuff that's attached to name brands.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to give people they never heard of shots like talking about it.
Right.
Because they've got limited resources, they got limited income streams because the movies are not really playing
In the
in the theaters like they were pre-COVID. And quite frankly, even then, the viewership was going down because people would say, "I'll wait till you get on streaming or whatever." So the industry model is changing. That's why I say it's always important to understand the business of show business so you can make moves accordingly.
Yes. And you have actually, from your story so far, you have actually leveraged that. Like that is what has really been working for you, understanding those moves. And you took the time to work as a PA, do those dirty jobs that people don't want to do. Even though you were much older, you did what you needed to do, but you were not there just to earn a paycheck. You were there to learn. You used it as an opportunity to learn the industry, learn how it's working, build connections, and then just make the next move as you saw the opportunity and the next move as you saw the opportunity. And now let's talk about your credit. IMDb. I did go to IMDb because even though we've been keeping in touch, it was not on everything. Right. So I did go to IMDb and I saw that list and I did see that Christmas special that you're talking about. And I know I have seen you in a couple of things. I'll be like, wait, is that Terence?
Right. I'm that guy. Wait, where did I know you from?
Like, I know that guy. So it's always very nice to see you on things. And yes, and just tell me about your favorite stuff. I know you said when you worked on Galaxy Volume 2, were you an actor? Were you behind the scenes? What did
I was an actor. I was an actor. Yeah.
Okay. So I probably have seen you in that also. I just haven't I lost track of what I've seen you in.
Right. And that's a blessing that I've been doing it that long and doing it that much.
Yes, and it's exciting. The things that you're in, they're exciting. Like I love the Galaxy movies. I saw the Christmas special. I think the day it came on Netflix. I don't see that. So I hope I saw it on Netflix. Like, where did I see that?
No, I think it was on Disney Plus. Maybe on
Disney Plus. Because I was like, wait, where did I see that? It's not Netflix. So yes. Right. So as soon as it dropped, I saw it. So it's really nice to know that you started on as an actor and you did all these things and you learned and you came around and you did it. Because a lot of things that people say is, oh, people make it because they are connected, like, oh, they know people that know people that know people. So it discourages the young ones who do not know people from doing it. For instance, I knew one person when I came here, and that one person ended up not working out in the producing that we needed to do. So I kind of reverted and just stayed with background. So what advice do you have to give to young people? I know you already dropped some nuggets here and there, but what advice do you have to give to people that say, well, I can't make it because I don't know anybody in the business. I don't have the connection. So nobody's going to
create your own connect, create your own clique.
Right.
Create your own clique. I've been blessed. I worked with Judd Apatow, who did, I worked with them on 40-Year-Old Virgin, Walk Hard. They also did Superbad, all these things. Those guys been in the game for a long, long time. They had a TV show. I forgot the name of it. It was canceled after like half a season, one season. Even though people loved it, they canceled it and they were ready to pack it in. And they just said, you know what, man, I'm not going to worry about Hollywood. I'm going to write what I'm interested in. He did 40-Year-Old Virgin. It changed his life. Same thing with I did a show called Outer Banks. The twin brothers who wrote that, same thing. They came from North Carolina, went to LA, bopping around, got a couple of shows bought. The shows didn't really go nowhere. They moved from Hollywood they said, hey, man, we're going to write what we know. Growing up in North Carolina, surfing, they blew up. It was the biggest streaming original series on Netflix at the time it came out during COVID, which helped them probably that a whole bunch of kids were at home and had nothing to do, and they just caught on to this series. Yes. And also a group of the producers of Fast and Furious, another group of guys. So one thing I say is, number one, create your own clique of people. Find people that have the same taste, same values, same passions and interests that you have. If you're hanging out with people and they're interested in chasing women, well, that's what you're going to end up doing. Right. If you're with people and they like to party and go to all of the nightclubs, you're not doing it. If you hook up with people that have a genuine love for cinema, and specifically the same types of cinema you like, most guys who love horror movies, they tend to click up together and say, hey, man, let's do one. Right. And that's how they do it. So you might go through 1,000 people to find that one or two people that y'all click. So that was the most important advice I got when I moved to LA. Danny Glover's woman, who was his vice president of his production company, Karen Boat, saw me at a party, introduced herself, and she said, I don't know who you are, but you're going to do big things. I've been watching you.
That's good.
It really was. And I didn't know who she was. And she said, let me give you a piece of advice. And she just out of the blue dropped this nugget on my lap. She said, most of your most intimate relationships will be at private. We were at an apartment Christmas party at somebody's house. The lady, she used to be a hairstylist in Hollywood. She didn't even work in Hollywood no more, but several people from Hollywood, her friends, came through. And so she said, go to anytime you're invited to private functions and get-togethers, go there, and that's where you're going to meet people and find people that have the same interests that you have, the same values, all that. That was probably the most important nugget that I received in LA. So the thing I say is that treat people the way you like to be treated, because today's PA could be tomorrow's studio executive.
Oh, true. Very true.
How many PAs have you worked with that are now producers, first ADs, who say, hey, Ruth, I know you. I've been working with you for 10 years. Yeah. You come here. Yeah. We're gonna give Ruth, put her featured or whatever. So
I'm still waiting.
Hey, man, we're all waiting for that one that's gonna change your life.
Right.
The one that your great grandkids are okay.
Yes.
You know, that one. That's all you need is one.
One. Yep.
And the only way to catch that fish is to keep fishing.
Yes.
When I worked with Halle Berry, I'd asked her. I was her assistant on a movie called Monsters Ball.
Right.
She actually won the Oscar for it.
Yes.
And so she said, I asked her, I said, Halle, if it's one piece of advice you could give me that I could share with kids I work with, what would it be? She thought for a second. And she said, don't quit. Mm. And then she bust out laughing. And I said, why are you laughing? Because she said, you looked at me like, that's it? Like the B word. And I said, no, I didn't call you. I said, I did say that's it. But I didn't call you the B word in my mind. I guess what she said, I'm waiting for her to give me a big old. Yeah, she did like that. She said, don't quit. And then my face must have said, wah, 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 wah. And so she explained, and she was like, if you quit, you're out.
Yeah.
Another thing she told me, she said, if you have talent and you work hard and you don't quit, eventually they will find you. Mm-hmm. Eventually they will find you. Yeah. And I've been in the game. I got in the game in 1989, so that's 24 years. Mm-hmm. And it took me until 2016 to do Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. It took me until 2021 to do Outer Banks, which are two of the biggest things that I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And the reason more than anything else is that I didn't quit. Mm-hmm. I didn't quit. And then get used to rejection. Yeah. Get used to it. Don't take it personally. And the way you not take it personal is you always have other stuff going on that you control, where you're not sitting around waiting. Or the biggest thing is when you see your peers go do stuff that you want to do. Right. And you're saying to yourself, man, I'm better than him or her. How did he? That was theirs. That wasn't yours. Mm-hmm. Don't deal in jealousy. It's okay to be envious. Envious means I wish I was you.
Yeah.
Jealous is, How? Why you?
Yeah. I'm better
And
than
so,
you. Why you?
exactly. So create, try your hardest. That's what I loved about what you did early in your career. When I first met you, I saw you transitioning to producing and directing and partnering and doing all this stuff with other people. And then go work with folks. When you're just getting in, ain't nobody gonna just give you Will Smith's salary off top.
Nah. Even with Sliston doesn't get that right away.
Exactly. So what you do is you go work with people that are doing what you want to do, and at whatever level.
Right.
And what happens is, um, you're gonna meet other people. If somebody's got a little thing, hey man, I don't have no money. We're shooting on the beach today.
Right.
I can say, man, I don't feel like going to the beach and they ain't got no money. Well, I can go out and his cameraman is like, hey man, you'd be perfect for the lead in this other project that I'm doing.
True.
You see what I'm saying? You know that. You're meeting people, you're moving, you're in the space, you're out of your seat, you're not on social media. Pick up a camera, shoot stuff. There's no excuse. You got with an iPhone or even an Android, you can shoot and edit, and you can put stuff online, or you can do whatever. Some people want to be rich and famous. I don't know how to coach that. I don't, because if it was, I'd be a billionaire.
Yes.
Selling it, put it in a bottle and sell it.
Yes.
But what I can coach is be honest with yourself and ask yourself. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be rich or famous.
Right.
There's better ways to do it than the entertainment industry.
That's true.
There's illegal ways to do it. Be specific. Why do you want to be rich and famous? Most people is like, because I want to have influence and go help other people. We'll start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Say I want to be influential enough to take my own money and fund a hospital in Ghana or whatever. That's a stronger thing to go for than I want to be nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah.
Or I want to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something crazy. The most popular therapist in Hollywood deals with only Oscar winners. Wow. Not Oscar losers.
Wow.
Not people that have been nominated and lost. The people that have won.
Won. Because they got to the pinnacle and probably it wasn't what they expected.
Absolutely. Everything else. And what happens is that your child still doesn't respect you.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife is still having an affair with the gardener. You're still fat. You're still skinny. You're still too dark. You're still too light. You're still too short. You're still too whatever your complex that has been bothering you. And I don't mean to body shame people. I'm just using that as examples.
Examples. Yeah.
Whatever your personal thing is doesn't go away with success. Temporarily, you get confetti thrown on you. And now you're like, people around you change. You don't change.
Exactly. So
all of a sudden, the people who didn't pay attention. I'll give you a perfect example. I got a buddy a couple of years ago. He told me he lost 100 pounds. And, he wants to change his life. Mm-hmm. He lost 100 pounds over a year. And I said, what's the biggest difference in your life now that you've lost that 100 pounds? He said, people treat me better than when I was fat.
Right. But it's sad that society have to treat somebody that way based on the physical outlook.
It's human nature.
It's sad, but at the same time, kudos to him for.
I give you an example. I could take you and I could take a supermodel.
Yeah.
And I could have you all walk. You're about 5'3", something like that. I could take a blonde girl who's almost 6 feet tall in a tight dress, and I could have you what you dressed in. And I will place you behind men of all colors and ages. And let's watch how many will open the door for you, how many will open the door for her.
That's true.
And I'll put myself in that mix too.
Yeah.
And how many will open for me. So she'll probably get the door open the most, then you, then me.
Yeah.
and it's human nature.
Yeah,
and it's the same way how people look at, the majority of the Latino people in LA are not from Mexico. They're from all over Central and South America, right? Mm-hmm. And so there are people that walk past these people like they're invincible. Mm-hmm. They look at them as the service, the help, because they usually see them in, entry-level roles because they're first or second generation Americans trying to hustle and, make something happen. But these people are people.
Yes.
And so human nature is to take. I think what happened is that we've got so much information being thrown at us. We got to make decisions quickly.
Quickly, yeah.
So we make assumptions of who and what we think people are as we navigate, so we don't have to be worried about getting hung up on stuff. But the reality of it is that I get that for your safety, for your general well-being. But at the end of the day, treat people the way you like to be treated.
Right.
And that will go a long way.
Right. That's amazing. I like that because it's a theme that you just mentioned, something that I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 days. Like, that is the thing that has been with me, like, treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That theme has just been with me a lot this week. Like, so I'm glad you brought it up. So I'm going to have to listen to that more, because there has to be a reason why it's coming up. It's not a new saying, but it's coming up a lot in my life, me thinking about it, you talking about it. So there got to be a reason why I'm getting this awareness enforced. Now that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So speaking of treating people the way you're treating, I wanted to ask this question. How have you seen the industry change when it comes to diversity, representation, looking at movies, looking at TV shows? How have you seen it change from the time you and me started to now?
If you're an African-American woman, now is the best time to be a content creator in the history of Hollywood. Because when you look at most of the content creators, and I'm not talking about people doing viral TikToks, I'm talking about people that have legitimate deals with ABC and all the major companies. You've got a plethora of African-American women. Issa Rae, Ava DuVernay, Oprah was one of the first ones. I can name about 15 females I can name maybe 7 black males. So diversity itself, when I got in the game in 1989 in New Orleans, and I'm shooting, commercials and music videos and the occasional film, the crews were 98% male and white. When I go back to New Orleans, I just shot a film in New Orleans. The director was black. The DP was black. The first AD was black. Now, it was a mixed crew.
Yeah.
Mostly, there's more females on sets now. The transportation department in Atlanta and New Orleans are majority black. When I got into the industry, they were 99% white. So, and it wasn't racism that kept people out, because there are people that are making, without any college or high school degree, there are people that are making 6 figures in the movie industry. Sometimes driving trucks. You can make $200,000 doing a lot of overtime driving trucks and never have graduated from high school. But what it is, it's proximity. So when I worked behind the scenes, I got opportunity. You know how in movies, man, it's long and slow.
Yeah.
We don't take. So when you get cool and people know you, you can talk to people and get to know them and ask them how did you get, where you from? How did you get started in wardrobe? Blah blah blah. 90% of the people will tell you they came to LA to be actors, writers, and directors. And 90% of those people end up being in wardrobe, in first AD, in sound department, props, whatever. And then there's other people who, my friend's dad works on movies. And so in my summers, I'd go help them in the warehouse. So what I found out was that most of the people who got into the industry were connected through people they knew personally. I've never been asked to show my high school diploma or college admission in 30 years in the entertainment industry. So it's really about relationships, and it's not, people we usually say it's about who you know, but it's really about who knows you.
Wow. That's important. That's a different way of looking at it.
Because I'll give you a perfect example. They got 100 extras, you're one of them. And they say, hey man, we need a nurse to give Denzel his phone and he's going to say thank you. And she's going to say, you're welcome. She's got this one line. So this is a major come up for an extra. You're going to interact with Denzel by yourself, and you got a line with him. And normally they might have auditions to do that, but something changed. They created this on the, hey man, we're going to do this. And so the person who's familiar with you, Ruth, was like, I know who I can get. Ruth, she's always on time. She's always pleasant. She's reliable. She's consistent. She's professional. I trust her. You have no idea. You on your thing doing your homework.
Doing my homework.
They say, "Excuse me, come here." And so you usually, when they sing you out, and everybody in the room is looking like,
Like,
"Wait, where they bring
what?
it up?
Yeah.
Right. Where's
Yeah.
she's going?"
Yeah.
Like meerkats. And like,
Why are the producer walking with her?
absolutely. And so that's why I say it's not who you know, but who knows you.
Right.
The people who are watching you, they got, it's like they're only thinking about you when they need you. And not because they're being ill-mannered, but they got so much on their plate.
Yeah.
So now that we're looking for that one person, you're the most important person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other times when you're working with these people, they see you, they always make a note. Hey man, whenever I got an opportunity to do something cool for Ruth, I will, because I appreciate her leadership with all these new extras we got and how she handles everybody without even saying anything. They
Right.
just follow her. People are always looking at you because those of us who have aspirations to lead, we're always looking at who we're with to see who I'm gonna roll with when I get an opportunity.
Right. Wow. That's so true, though. That is so true. That is
What
so true.
you don't want to go tell people because it may never happen. It may not happen on a level. And they're gonna be saying, man, when you said you're gonna, so you just kind of make it in your mind, like, like, hey man, when I make it big, I'm gonna call Terence, I'm
Right.
gonna call Larry, I'm gonna call Ruth, and I'm gonna call. That's my first calls. I just got a call like that 2 nights ago.
Wow.
A
That's
guy
amazing.
said, got a book deal with somebody. He said, hey man, I'm thinking he wants me to be an actor. He said, no, I want you to be a writer, producer.
Nice.
He said, we still looking, we still trying to close the deal. But I'm telling you, I met this guy 5 years ago in a bar watching a basketball. And we became friends. He wasn't even in Hollywood. He was selling real estate. But he was also a writer.
Right.
And had published several books. And a big star just recently bought his books. And he called me and said, I'm not going to say names because I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
But,
2 days
he
ago,
said,
you don't want to give away that and what do you?
he was like, hey man, you out because I told you not to say
Yeah.
that.
You lick this. We can't trust you. Bye.
Yeah, but I just said just had and when I did my movie, this person supported my movie, came to my premiere as a friend, and then here we are 5 years later. We keep in contact, you and I, once a year. Hey man, happy holidays! Oh, thank you, brother. Same to you. Whoopie whoop. And then he gives me a call 2 days ago, which if it comes to fruition, it could change both of our lives.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I'm keeping moving.
Yes.
And I've gotten about 10 calls like that in my life.
Wow.
And it's sometimes it's BS and sometimes the deal just doesn't happen.
Right.
But that's why I can't control that. All I can do is do what I do, which is show up on time, be professional. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good morning, good evening, and keep it moving. It's that simple.
That's true.
Nice. Be nice.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it's like you were saying, the industry has changed in the last 10 years, but those habits are the same. Those habits haven't changed. Being professional, always being on time, being grateful. All of those ethics are still the winning ethics in the industry, whether you're black, white, green, yellow, it doesn't matter. Those are the ethics. Yes, it's true.
Look, when you're us, you feel like you got to double down on that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be above and beyond. You can't just be regular.
Oh, yeah. You got to double down. That's true.
you have to be exceptional. Mm-hmm. I remember, look, when I first saw people of color coming in, I saw some people, not even people of color. I've seen new people come in the game. And they're playing it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And I've called it nearly every time, saying they're not going to be around a long time. Mm-hmm. Because Hollywood will not accept that.
Right.
They'll accept bad behavior from people that's making the money.
Yes.
Will Smith just did the movie, he slapped Chris in the thing. Yeah. I said, he's unhireable. But now he just released another movie where he did a great job and they love the movie.
Yeah, is that in Chins? What is it called? The way the slave
Emancipation or whatever. Yeah, the slave movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now, okay, we're gonna wait a while, let everything chill out. But we can't wait till we can hire him again because he's gonna be hot from that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put him out there and we're gonna have him explain and apologize and talk about it and then before people. But they're not gonna do that with you and I. If we make a mistake, because we're not bringing money to them. So you want to move out, you have to put a wig on, change your whole thing.
Even then.
Exactly. Exactly.
Even then.
Exactly. So, I've seen people, one of the biggest difference, like you asked me earlier, other than the diversity, I see kids, more colleges have film studies programs. So the kids are coming in, and with the technology now,
Yeah.
a lot of kids are even bypassing Hollywood
Yeah.
and just doing their own things. They're making more money than me and you may put together on having a channel.
Yeah. On YouTube channels, on Instagram,
Yep.
on Facebook, they're making way more money than we did.
Doing a month of work.
Yeah.
They do that in a day.
Yeah.
They might make $7,000-8,000 in a day, in an hour, because of that. So the biggest thing is the diversity, and the actual way movies are being made and produced with the technology. You got 4D when I started, everything was shot in film. Now everything's shot digital.
I remember that. I saw that transition too. Isn't that
absolutely wild? We were front row at that. We were watching that.
Yes.
And I tell you, one of the biggest changes from that is that the turnaround times are not as long.
No.
Because it used to be, if we were shooting your close up, well, then we're going to take a 15, 20-minute break so they can turn around and do my close up. So they would bring you back to the holding area or whatever. Now they shoot your close up, then they immediately turn around
and they shoot the other person.
Yeah, you might have time to go to the bathroom.
They're even calling you. Where are you?
Oh, y'all ready? Yeah,
You're
because
like, I'm still sitting in the thing.
Exactly. I'm still sitting in the thing.
Number two, people. I can't even do number two these days. Let alone great craft service.
right. And so yeah, man. So I think just the diversity. There's more females. There's more males. More Latinas, Latino people, Latinx or whatever Hispanic people, and the process of filming has changed.
Yeah,
and the process for us, most people in our generations, you're under me, you're younger than me. We grew up with the old process.
Mm-hmm.
We fuss a little bit at the other kids because they want it now, but that's what their world is that they're growing up in. Yeah. So instead of fighting against them, hey man, how you guys do that?
Yeah, you're learning from them.
Absolutely. It's a trade-off, man. And we, that's how we should, you'd hope that everybody would be collaborative like that, to pick each other's brains.
Yeah.
And put these two things together and make it work. So
oh well. But we cannot go without you talking about Funky Uncle Records. Tell me more about Funky Uncle Records.
It's my merchandise company with my son. We're at FunkyUncleRecords.com. It started like 20-some years ago. I created a character. Everybody's got a crazy uncle, loud and common. And then when I played in the band, I played drums with a group called Soul Remedy. We had an album. We didn't have a record label, so we self-distributed it. So we say, hey man, I went and created a music publishing called Funky Uncle Records Music Publishing, and we created the record label to put the record out. People like the graphics and everything. And I've been saying, hey man, one day I'm going to do some t-shirts, whatever. And again, now the technology has allowed me to not only create them, but also ship them in a way where I'm not going to the post office with bags. I can drop ship it, and I can contract with my suppliers to do stuff. So yeah, man, we just launched at the end of November, I believe. So we're not even, thank you. So we're not even a month. We might be a little bit over a month old.
Right.
And we're still, I got original art pieces on there. We got t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're still growing. We're still tweaking and trying to find the right combination of product, just trying to figure it out, man. And I love new challenges. So that gives me something to do in between acting and writing and producing stuff. It gives me something that I'm invested in as an entrepreneur, where I'm not waiting for Hollywood.
Yep, that's right. Got to keep going. That's excellent. So is there anything you're working on right now, maybe director-wise, as a director, that we should be keeping an eye on? Like, what are the things you suggest we keep an eye on that you're working on? Besides Uncle.
Exactly. Based off of my 600 pages of my journal, I've got 2 books. The first one will be a audio book called Scenic Route. I'm co-producing a podcast with my friend Eleanor Earl, who is also a filmmaker, and she does a bunch of great things too. We have a podcast called The Scenic Route, and we produced the first one last year. So what we're going to do is every episode we're going to take someone that works in the industry who's taken a non-traditional route to get to where they are in the business, and share that with people that want to get in. Yes, I've got a handful of scripts that I've either written or co-written with folks, and so we're shopping those, trying to get some movement. Everything's been kind of slow since COVID, but I'm taking in about a year or two. Once we get, just like 2008, when things get solid again, then people are going to be ready to make moves.
Yeah.
So my thing is just doing these type of, I love talking about the industry, sharing my experiences. If I can help somebody, if somebody say, hey man, I heard you talk about this, I got that.
Right.
You never know who's watching.
That's
not
true.
who you know, but who knows you.
That's true. That's
so yeah. What else am I doing? Tinkering with music. I haven't played music as a professional drummer in about 22 years. And so I just recently bought a lot of music equipment, and mostly to score my own
original stuff for your
documentaries and stuff. I'm also going to be working on a documentary about Big Chief Dalcor, who is my uncle. He's a Black Indian. And in New Orleans, if you look up Black Indians in New Orleans, during Mardi Gras, there's Indians that dress up like American Indians mixed with African.
Yes.
Have you seen any of that?
I have seen pictures of them. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my uncle Dalcor, he is like one of the, like he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the original guys who started this. Not who started it, but who's a master of it. So we're gonna be doing a documentary with him. I've got a plethora. That's my favorite word this month. I've got a plethora of projects. Yeah. Producing a couple of podcasts. Again, man, it's really just keeping busy.
Yes.
In between shooting movies, having stuff that I'm passionate about, where I'm not waiting for the phone to call, the ring.
And I think that is the key, right? That is the key of just getting that yourself busy enough that you're not constantly waiting for somebody to give you a call.
And also create revenue.
Right. Like having that revenue to allow you the flexibility of doing what you like doing while waiting for that call, not necessarily waiting, like just expect.
While you're waiting for stuff to happen. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So I think for me, I think the challenge is the revenue. Like we have all these dreams, we have all these things. And I think personally for me, if I had the revenue, I would just make films and tell stories and make podcasts, and that would be my life. Like I know I have a PhD, but I still have that love of storytelling, and I still have the love for entertainment, which is why I do the podcast now. But I want to use that education that I've learned and the nonprofit, like I try to merge all of that into this one podcast. So but who knows where I will end up. Maybe we'll collaborate on something really soon. Who knows?
No, let's put it in the air. Let's collaborate on something.
Yeah, I think we should collaborate on something. I have a few things that I worked on in the past that I never really followed through on, that I think it would be nice for us to work on.
And I love what your when you said you got your PhD in international relations,
global leadership and change. Yes, global leadership.
Absolutely, man. So that's something I'm interested in, because at the end of the day, man, I'm using film and everything that it allows me to communicate with young people,
right?
Whether they want to do film or not, man. These messages that we're talking about, basically just being a decent human being and treating people the way you'd like to be treated, regardless of what you do for a living.
Right.
Those are staples.
Yeah.
And anytime I get an opportunity to say, hey, man, I'm a living, walking example of trying to do the right thing.
Right.
Not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've been cussed out. I've been fired. I've been told I ain't nothing, but I still keep going.
Yeah.
Because I know that this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So my thing is to tell people to make a list of things that you love to do, or what do you love, and what do you dislike.
Right.
And so you look at both of those lists, and I might dislike working in the office, rude people, entitled people, bullies. what I love, friendly people, laughter,
Right.
outdoors.
Yeah.
I've just named some of the things that happen on movie sets.
Yes.
And look, some of the things on that bad list of that too.
Oh yeah.
But in my experience, man, at least 95 to 98% of my experiences have been positive.
Right.
And you know, I know working as a background extra, you know, you've probably got a little bit more negative because you're interacting with the extras themselves, rude producers or ADs or whatever, but still the majority of your experiences have been more positive than negative.
Yes, very, very true. Like I have a story or two to tell, but it's not, I can never say that my experiences were so bad that I can never go back into the industry. Like
Exactly.
when
Right.
I stopped in 2021, November 2021. I stopped because of COVID. And then I just figured I was at that final stage of my PhD. I didn't want to have any distractions anyway. I couldn't work because COVID was just a whole different ballgame. So I basically just focused and finished. And it took me, when I was in Kenya, I woke up one day feeling stressed. But when you work in an industry for 17 years, there are things about the industry that stresses you up. So I had that anxiety of, oh my God, I'm going to be late on set. Somebody's going to yell at me. I'm going to But I still work with really good ADs and PAs. I've always had really good people I worked with, to the point where it wasn't so bad that I just hated the industry. So I feel like I want to go back to the industry. I don't want to go back to the industry in the same capacity. I don't want to go back and be a stand-in. I don't want to go back and be a background actor. If a friend calls me and say, hey, Ruth, I'm doing this thing, come support me as a background actor, come support you. If you want me to stand in as a supporting a friend, I would do it. But I would not do it as money, right? Like it will not become a job anymore. I feel like I've grown past that. And the anxieties that I will get from going to do something like that will be an unnecessary stress on myself, because I think I do in that area.
I get it.
So anything else you want to share with the audience before we clear?
Man, I think we've hit it all. This has been a great conversation, man. So, you know, just FunkyUncleRecords.com. Check us out.
Check it out.
Yeah. I've got some artwork on there. I'm a visual artist as well. I love my life. Can it be better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can it be worse? Absolutely. But I am where I am, and I stand on it.
That's the way to go out.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. And hopefully we will do more when you get some big roles rolling. I will make sure that you come back and we have conversations about that. I am also still growing. So this is, we don't know 5 years from now where we're all going to be. So I am
this was fun, man. I'm so glad you reached out.
Yes.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on this thing. And I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
And I will first of all, I'm telling my dad you say hello.
Yes, send me his contact.
and I will also find out the dates of when we met and when we went to that comedy show.
Yes, please do. And
I will send them to you. Yeah.
Yes. And if you hear of any work out there, send them my way. You know, I got to go back into the industry.
And look, let's put it in the air that you and I will produce something together.
We will produce something together.
And I would love to go to Cameroon or any part of Western Africa, Ghana, wherever.
Yes, that's
India, good. To do some stuff. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, great. Now that we have this in common, and I know that we're going to make it happen.
Let's do some work. Let's do some film workshops in Africa.
It will be great. There are plenty of stories to tell. And
I'm putting it in the air right now. You and I will do international workshops.
Yes.
About the film industry, because I'm pretty sure, just like Nollywood, there's other countries that are starting to shoot their own movies, like Ghana.
Ghana, Cameroon, yes.
Yeah, so let's do that, man.
All right, good. And I have a non-profit, so we could even use the non-profit to do that and have the funds through that. Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm down.
All right. Until next time.
Absolutely. Bye, my beautiful. I love you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Terence Rosemore and find the information that he has shared useful, inspiring, helpful, educational, and entertaining. Do what you're doing for the love of that thing, or do it because you love it. not necessarily for the fame or the money. You might never get the fame, you might never get the riches that come with it, but if you do it for the love of that thing, then at the end of the day, you still win. At the end of the day, you will be fulfilled, you know. So Terence really shared a lot with us today, and I am so grateful we had the time to hear his story and hear his journey, and just to show how long it takes to actually get those calls coming in and getting that work done that needs to be done. I will post all the links that he shared with me in the description box. So until next time, asante asana.